Okay, welcome to the second part of the lecture. Now we're going to talk about the role of visual merchandising in the world of e-commerce, in the world of online stores. So, do online stores need visual merchandising? Of course, the answer is yes. In fact, it is very, very important for visual merchandising to enhance websites, to make sure that we understand how customers interact with websites, how we can appeal the best to them, to engage them, given that there are more and more online stores, there are more and more new online stores being set up every day. All the traditional stores, traditional brick and mortar stores are all going online. There is overwhelming amount of choices for customers. So websites have a lot of competition. They need to make sure that they engage the customers by studying what attracts them, what causes them to buy, what persuades them to buy, what information they need. And this is the role of visual merchandising in online shopping. No matter customers buying in a brick and mortar store, a physical store, or on an online store, it is still about emotional connection. It is still about appealing to what a customer feels. Does it make the customer feel good? Does it make the customer believe in making the day better? Does it give them hope? And that is about emotional connection. And this is very much about how we want to influence the emotional connection that retailers have with customers, be it in an online store or in a brick and mortar store. And that is when we talk about atmospherics. What is atmospherics? It is the artistic aspect of visual merchandising. Okay, we have all this data, just like in online shopping. We have that in brick and mortar stores. We have all this information about customers, but how do we make sense of it? We want to make sense of it by appealing to customers on a subconscious level. We want to know what makes them change their mind about something. What is it that makes them decide to buy something? Where is that trigger point? What is it that makes them decide not to buy something? What is the factors? Okay, so in an online store, the atmospherics could be a little bit different from a physical store, but there are still different factors that we can look at. I must say here first that this is still an evolving science. There is research done on this, but because online shopping, of course, is not been around as much as traditional shopping, traditional brick and mortar stores. So the amount of research, the amount of years that they have studied online shopping behavior is not as much. Research papers are not as many as well. So based on this, what we have gathered so far, you are part of this science, you are part of this research, so we learn as we go along. But what I want to introduce you is to how far we have come in this. So right now, where are we in online shopping? 60% of millennials, people like yourselves, have smartphones or tablets, and you definitely make full use of it to research about the product. And more than 50% would actually research while shopping. And actually, I must say, even though I'm not a millennial, I am part of that 50%. As I'm walking in Zara and I see a nice top that I want to buy, I would actually, Google and see if Shopbop has something else, to see if ASOS.com has something that is, better fabric or a lower price. Okay, so customers have a lot of options. We have the options of brick and mortar stores. We have the options of online shopping. We have even the options of websites, aggregator websites. We call them like Amazon.com. We have reseller websites like Carousel. So there are so many options. So what does this mean? It means that customers have more bargaining power now. Customers have so many choices that retailers have less power now. Okay, in the past, if I wanted to buy a t-shirt, I have to go to Orchard Road. I mean, a nice t-shirt, right? I have to go to Orchard Road, and the brands available to me are like Bossini, Benetton, Esprit. But nowadays, if I want to buy a t-shirt, I have so many physical stores to choose from. I still have Esprit. I still have Bossini. I still have Benetton. I have all the high street brands. I have all the Bugis Junction shops that I can buy a t-shirt for maybe, $10. I have online stores. I have Taobao. I have Amazon. I have ASOS. I have Carousel. So the options are so many, it is overwhelming. So retailers know this. Retailers know the competition they have is very fierce. So they have to capture customers' attention. How? They have to make sure that the the checkout from shopping when customers go in all the way from browsing to checkout, it is a seamless experience. When they pay, how the goods are delivered to them, there mustn't be any hiccups. If not, they lose the customer. Okay, so now back to the customer. Now that we can research, okay, we can compare prices and we can use our one touch service on our phones to buy something, what has it resulted in? We have rows and rows and pages of products to look through, to compare prices, to compare quality, to compare shipping times before we make a decision. There's just too much information. So what happens? Customers will will tend to leave without making a substantial purchase. Actually, once a customer opens a web page to look at the things, it is a captured audience for the online retailer. So the online retailer needs to capitalize on the time and the attention the customer has in the online store. But right now, because it's still an evolving science, retailers are not able to maximize the experience that customers have and thereby not able to maximize the number of purchases that customers are making. And added to that is that the online shopping experience has also not been maximized in terms of its potential in terms of how it's able to match back to a traditional online shopping experience. What are the other things that can be done? There is a lot more, but technology is constantly evolving, and I think online retailers are just trying to play catch up here. Okay, and what are the challenges of online shopping? Of course, online retailers have very, very different problems. They definitely have a lot more assortment because what they carry in terms of their inventory does not is not limited to what they have, like a traditional brick and mortar store has in the storeroom. Online retailers would usually have huge warehouses. They may have goods on consignment, so they are not limited to the physical space that customers see. And they also have customers in all areas. Anywhere that the postman can reach is their customer. Anywhere that has a Wi-Fi signal, internet access is an area that an online retailer can reach. So it's a very, very wide audience. But this means, like what we said earlier, customers have too many choices, and it is so easy. They don't even have to walk. They just use their fingers to tap, and they can switch from one store to another. So it's very, very hard to hold on to their attention, even though they are a captured audience when you have them. So what retailers need to do is to have customers to lure customers into the online store and then to be able to hold them and convert them, very much like a retailer of a traditional physical retailer. Okay, the second challenge of online shopping is that in a traditional retail environment, you can use lighting, you can use visuals, you can use smell, you can use temperature, you can use music, you can appeal to all the different five senses. If you're selling food, you can let them taste the food. But now, with online shopping, you don't really have that full spectrum of sensory experience. It is very, very visual. A lot of retailers build in music, but customers have found that annoying and they try to switch off the music. So it is very, very visual. You need to maximize this visual experience. Okay, and the third point, which I think is one of the most important points here, that is the costly and lengthy process to put together a web page. I think a lot of people oversimplify and overlook how complex it is to put up a good and effective web page, a good, effective online store, okay, that creates that kind of experience that can truly make it enjoyable for the customers to stay and browse and buy. It takes a lot of expertise. It takes a lot of effort and time in making sure that the images are optimized of good quality, the layout is beautiful, and that it is enjoyable for the customer, and that also, of course, there is also the branding and technical aspects of this, which is you have to follow, the website's brand guidelines, the individual brands, merchandise brands guidelines, and if there are certain things that there's certain innovative features you want to add, there's going to be a lot of technical expertise needed, a lot of maybe proprietary coding needed, and that takes a lot of time and money, and a lot of back and forth because of the various stakeholders, various experts that need to work together in a team. So it is not as simple as just setting up a Shopify page to sell a product. It is a lot more complex than that, and this is what retailers, traditional retailers especially, need to appreciate, that they need to invest in it, and they need to commit to it. Yeah, if not, it will just be a sidekick to the traditional business. And with the trend of online shopping nowadays, it cannot just be a sidekick. It has to take equal weight as the physical stores. Okay, now let's talk about the risk of online shopping. Why is it that some customers perceive online shopping as risky? When you go to a physical store and you buy a product, you can ascertain the quality of the product because you see it, you touch it, it is right in front of you. But for online shopping, you don't have that feature. You don't get to touch it, you don't get to see it, you don't get to try it on, you don't get to taste it. So in that sense, customers may perceive that it is a little bit risky because what I get may not be what I see. What I see may not be totally accurate. The color might be different, the quality might be different. So what online retailers need to do is that they need to give as detailed information as possible. What material is it made of? How are you going to maintain it? Is it machine washable? Does it have to be dry clean? The dimensions exactly, what size is it? How long is it? How short is it? And of course, it needs to look good, but it needs to be balanced with the reality of what the product is actually looking like. And I think you have also seen in a lot of websites that reviews are really important from previous customers who have purchased the same items, because it adds to the credibility of the product. It helps the customers to know whether is it reliable, is it good for them. And mix and match suggestions, that helps to convince and persuade the customers, because a lot of times customers want to buy a whole look. That's why we have ensemble displays. Similarly, for online shopping, we should have suggestions of complementary products. And then we move on to how to persuade customers to buy. First purchase incentive. A lot of websites are doing this. They usually give a very good discount or free shipping or freebies in order to attract customers to buy for the very first time. Because when you get the customers to buy for the very first time, you get them to set them an account. You get them to experience your service. If you can ensure that your delivery carries on with no hiccup, the product is what the customer expected, and the price is reasonable, then the customers is likely to come back because they already have an account with you. It also gives you a chance to interact with the customers more in future by sending them emails, by being able to call out to them with your promotions. And also, very importantly, is to show customers what are the various perspectives of the same product. How does it look when it's worn by the model? How does the model look when she's wearing it and walking and sitting and standing? Allowing customers to zoom into the products and showing extreme close-up of the product so that customers can see details like buttons and stitches. Yeah, these are really, really important so that to persuade customers to buy the product. And actually, research was actually done in this, and this was back in 2001. 44% of internet shoppers says that a close-up view increased their purchase content. So what more with all the enhanced views that retailers have set up? And of course, like what we said earlier, all these different features of each and every SKU of product actually needs time and effort to be done properly. So again, it's about the investment of time and effort on the part of the e-retailer. Okay, just a little bit of a recap. Atmospherics in traditional retailing. In the physical store, we have actually gone through all of this, by the way. We have exterior, interior, layout and design, and point of purchase. When we talk about the exterior, we have the storefront, the different types of entrances, display windows, what kind of building is this for those stores in bigger countries where they have standalone stores, and what's around the area, the landscaping, the car parks, and then the interior of the store, flooring, lighting, colors, even your scents and your sounds and your fixtures, temperature, how your merchandise is displayed, how clean is your store. All these are the factors in determining what is the atmosphere of the store interior. And layout and design. We went through this as well, talking about what sort of floor layout is it, what sort of graphics do you use, are they images or are they renderings, or are there, what sort of typography, what sort of fonts do you use, what sort of colors, what are your signages made of. All of these also change the different atmosphere of your store. And your point of purchase materials, the displays and the collaterals, the hanging mobiles, the floor stickers. We have done quite a lot of these at First Avenue as well. Okay, so these four main areas are the areas where we can affect the variables of what the atmosphere of a store in a physical store is. But what about online shopping? How does this translate into online shopping? Okay, in a brick and mortar store, the physical store layout is akin to the layout and categorization of an online store. Meaning, how is your structure if in your online store? Is it and the categories, is it determined by gender? Is it determined by style or by season, by designers? A lot of times, online retailers have capitalized on this by creating various categories that customers can choose how they want to browse. Do they want to categorize according to styles? Do they want to categorize according to by designers? It is up to the customers. So there's a lot of flexibility when it comes to online store as compared to a traditional retailer. Okay, color themes and store graphics. This would be similar to the background colors, the images throughout the web pages in an online store. Meaning, how color themes and store graphics affect the atmospherics in a brick and mortar store is how background colors and images affect the atmospherics in an online store. Meaning, if you have a certain color scheme, what does it communicate? If you have a very pastel color scheme, does it communicate a very childhood fantasy type of feeling, sort of atmosphere? And the images that you use, if they are dark and broody, are you trying to project a dark and broody branding? If it's bright and cheery, are you trying to project a summer feeling? And then we have window display. This is very similar to the themes or the images or product videos on the opening web pages. The opening web pages are very, very important because that's what the customers first see before they enter your online store. Exactly like what the window display does. It has to be very, very attractive. It stands for what your entire store is going to be about. Signage clarity. This is very important in an online store because it translates into the navigational icons. Conspicuity, that means how obvious the icons are. Customers need to navigate themselves in an online store, and if they are unable to go from one area to another area easily, they're going to get frustrated, they're going to leave the store. Okay, online atmospheric variables, we actually group them broadly into two areas. One is a high task relevant queue. That means these are the items that, these are the cues, these are the variables that actually push and sell. They are your silent salesperson for your merchandise. Such as, you can have a big banner that has the price, you can have a picture of the merchandise, you can have a banner to say that 50% off, or a beautiful picture of a model wearing the latest ripped jeans on the cover. Okay, high task relevant cues. Okay, low task relevant cues. These are the variables that are not so important. They just add to the atmosphere, they create the mood, but they don't actually push the products to customers. Okay, things like your background, your fonts, music if you have it, certain colors that you want to use. Okay, they just create the mood, they add to the mood, but they don't actually tell the customers explicitly what to buy, why they should buy it. Okay, factors in online retailing. These are facts that I'm sure most of you already know, but it's just formalizing them and giving structure to these things, to this information. Firstly, too much merchandise is confusing for customers. It actually has a negative outcome, it actually has a negative effect. It causes them to feel that since they have so many options, they shouldn't decide, they will not buy. Secondly, consumers' preference for models' faces. Customers prefer to buy when they can see the face of the person wearing it. In fact, if the model is shown in a lifestyle setting, it helps to sell the product, very much like your window display. You try to have a setting of how a dress is worn, how a piece of a product is used, like say a plate, how is it held, how is a bag used. These actually help customers to think about how they could use it in their actual life. And interactive presentation methods such as image enlargement, different views, different poses, this helps to increase the likelihood of customers to buy. Okay, website layout, font type, the style of the word, is it italics, is it bold, and the color of the background are all very important to customers' decision-making process. Like we said earlier, these are actually low relevant task queues, but they are important still. It doesn't mean that they don't push, they're not important. They set the mood, and the mood is important because for online shopping, the visual cues are so important. They determine what the customer feels when they're looking at the website. So you don't have a salesperson talking to the customer. So it is very important that you use all of these variables to push products to customers subconsciously. Okay, visible promotion messages in online stores actually help to convince customers, and they actually do create impulsive buying behaviors. When you see like little banners that say new arrival, sale, 50% off, they are actually very, very effective in an online store because these visual cues are very important to customers in persuading them. Okay, e-commerce approach is actually very similar to the supermarket approach, and these are the 4 factors. Firstly, easy entrance. When customers enter an online store, they must be able to browse the products easily. It has to be straightforward. The organization of the product categories, it shouldn't be hard for customers to find a certain product that they're looking for. If not, we're going to lose them. Easy to follow paths, which are your navigational icons, and the categorization of products. They have to be meaningful and easy to maneuver. And also a clever setup to get customers checked out in order for new ones to check in, meaning that customers have to be able to make payment and leave the store easily. If customers are unable to pay for the items, then it would mean that you're going to lose them as well. Okay, that's all for today's lecture. Thank you very much for your attention.